Welcome inside room 442. It's Albert Vartanian here. James Sharman, Michael Singh with me. No Sarah Perari. She isn't feeling well, so we send her our best, but the show must go on. Match day 8 in the book. Match day 8, boys. 8 days already.
You're just saying, though. It's only been a week.
I know, you mentioned to me it was a week. I'm like, really? It's only been a week?
So much longer, doesn't it?
It
But
does.
it's been a good World Cup, though.
Yeah.
Right? It's
It
not
has
like,
been.
we're not like forced through these boring games. No, they're great games of drama, great goals, storylines. So far, with all the noise outside the playing field, it's been a great World Cup.
I know we talked about it early on, how it didn't really feel like a World Cup because of what everything else was going on around it. But now finally we're starting to see all the fantastic games on the pitch, starting with the favorites, Brazil, qualifying for the next round alongside France. Brazil, no Neymar, but it didn't matter. Casemiro comes through with a big goal.
That was the biggest talking point, I think, heading into this match, right? What is Brazil going to look like without Neymar? But then you think about it, and it's Brazil. Like, if there's one team in this tournament that can survive with losing a player the caliber of Neymar, it's got to be Brazil. You think about the options that can come off the bench. And surprisingly, it was Fred. Fred, of all people, that got into the starting 11. And you know what? Through that first 80 minutes, I was thinking, this team is missing that Neymar a little bit, right? That little extra bit you need in the final third. While Vinicius, I think, had a fantastic, incredible game, I think they were still missing that quality. And then bang, out of nowhere, who would have guessed? It's Casemiro, the holding midfielder for Brazil, to come up with this massive moment. You know what? As a Manchester United fan, just as a fan of the game, I'm so happy it was Casemiro too, because he's not really a prolific goal scorer. He's a guy who doesn't really get a lot of credit, a lot of praise. But for him to score that goal, and now the spotlight is on him a little bit, he's getting his credit here. So it was a great goal too.
It's surprising, though, that there wasn't that much creativity, given that, United's two defensive stalwarts in the midfield both started side by side, in Fred and Casemiro. But I'll say this about this Brazil team, and I tell you what, they are frightening me right now. I think they're that good. People think that Brazil is just flair and joga bonita, right? And they have that, we know that. But the great Brazil teams built out from the back and have incredible defenses and were so well organized. And we're seeing that from this team right now. They are so well organized, tough to break down, and then they have got that quality up front. And when Neymar gets back, and he will, he's the X factor, which they may have been missing today. But you're right, Vinny Jr. was just superb, I thought. And that Casemiro goal is like one of those goals, you watch it a few times, right? Because we all want to strike the ball that cleanly. We can't all do it. I sure as hell can't. But you feel he got all of it. It was a lovely goal and a really impressive performance.
Worth the winner, right? A goal
Absolutely.
worthy of being a winner.
Absolutely. And Fred comes in, he holds alongside Casemiro, and it was Lucas Paqueta who moved up into that number 10 position. Not the same player as Neymar, but still very good. I want to go back on what you said about Brazil defensively. Back-to-back clean sheets, still haven't allowed a shot on target. For a team to go all the way, it comes down to defense, James.
It does. And who are their centre-backs? Old fellas. Thiago Silva and Marquinhos, who, they're old, but they're two of the greatest centre-backs in the modern era as well.
And they know each other pretty well, too.
Really well. They played, how many years now they played together?
Like at least 4 or 5.
They're going back to PSG.
Yeah, PSG times, yeah. I mean, I've always been a big Silva fan. In his day, he was the best centre-back in world football, I think. And even now, at 37, I think he is, at Chelsea, he's playing great football week in and week out. You can't get him out of that side. And then you got Alisson between the pipes, who is arguably the best goalkeeper in world football. Why are you smiling? Because I'm a Liverpool fan.
No,
Not with you.
Not only that.
I know you're saying he didn't even touch the ball, but he organised it. He's a general.
You could put Neymar in goal, and you're still fantastic.
And they so happen to have the number 2 goalkeeper in the world right behind him, who might start the third game with Brazil going through.
No, Manuel Neuer plays for Germany.
Oh, that's right. He's still very good.
David De Gea is not at this World
He's
Cup.
still excellent. There was another match in this group, an absolute classic. Cameroon, Serbia 3-3. Vincent Aboubakar, the super sub, comes on, scores a goal, makes an assist. Cameroon came back from 3-1 down. As for Cameroon, they weren't really expected to do much in this group, but now they have a chance to qualify, Mike.
Yeah, you know what? I wrote them off. And before we get into Cameroon a little bit, can I just say 5 a.m. games, can you all be like that?
It's done. No more 5 a.m.
I know.
It's over.
Sleeping tomorrow, pal.
We should celebrate just because of that alone. No, but you know what? Cameroon, credit to them. I think everyone sort of wrote them off a little bit, myself included. And they come out and they show not only can they score 3 times, but they battled back from a 3-1 deficit in this match. And I think the one thing you can take away from this game for this Cameroonian side is if you're Serbia or whatever opponent, don't play a high line against this Cameroon team. They can burn you like that, and I think we saw that with their 2 goals today. So, yeah, you got to give them some credit. They're still alive, and they're in a good position to qualify.
Quickly, James, on Serbia, are you disappointed with them so far?
It's interesting because that's an interesting group. You see Brazil's going to win the group. Who's second place? Serbia were a dark horse for many people, and others thought that maybe Cameroon could be that first African team to make some noise at a World Cup in a very long time. They have been disappointing. I mean, had Mitrovic scored that opportunity in the first half, I don't know how this man missed it. He's been so good this year for Fulham. And he blew it from about, 8 yards out?
Yeah.
Thereabouts, wide open. I mean, it's incredible. He would have changed the entire look of the game there, of course. But yeah, they've been disappointing, absolutely.
Yeah, Mitrovic still gets his goal. A quick look at the group in Group G. Brazil are through alongside with France. Switzerland in second place with 3 points, and Cameroon, Serbia. Their match is coming up on December 1st. Brazil, Cameroon, probably a heavily rotated Brazilian side, which is going to benefit Cameroon, and Serbia against the Swiss. But coming up after the break, we're going to talk about another team that qualified. We'll talk some Canada, and Mikey has some Sebastian Giovinco to Toronto FC news. All right, welcome back to Room 442. Portugal joined France and Brazil in qualifying for the round of 16 after Portugal beat Uruguay 2-0. A Ronaldo almost goal came off Bruno Fernandes. He got the goal for that. And a penalty for Bruno Fernandes, a player that you like a lot. You mentioned in a lot of our World Cup prediction shows that he was going to be the golden ball guy this World Cup, and he's certainly looking like it.
He's looking like it right now. And having watched Bruno Fernandes for the last couple of years, this is what Bruno Fernandes can do. He can be that focal point of your team, and I think we're seeing this today for Portugal. It's just that extra bit of quality. And you know what? It's not just making smart plays in the midfield. It's not just slowing down the game. He also has a knack for producing, whether it's goals, whether it's assists. Bruno Fernandes can produce. And now that we're seeing Ronaldo be less of the focal point of Portugal, someone else has to step up and take that reign. And, you have guys like Bernardo Silva there as well. Other people who can kind of step up and take the reins, but it's Bruno Fernandes' show right now for Portugal. And to be honest, I'm thrilled because I've watched this Bruno produce. This isn't just any flash in the pan, right? This is what Bruno Fernandes is.
Yeah, he usually struggles in the Portuguese shirt. I want to talk about Portugal qualifying just through 2 matches. They're notoriously known for struggling to get out of the group stage. They usually do, but they make it hard on themselves. Have you noticed anything different about this team?
I mean, scoring timely goals in low-scoring games. I think you're right. Bruno's been just brilliant. Ronaldo, listen, he is involved once again today. And right now, right as we tape this, I know he is devouring that videotape, trying to see if he got a touch of that.
Yeah.
I know they officially said
Little
it's
piece of
Bruno's.
hair.
Yeah, he's sure he had it. The way he claimed that goal, there was no doubt.
Dude, he did the celebration.
It's C, it's not Stu, it's C. I don't know who added the U.
Well,
on the
he might sue FIFA if they don't give him this
Yeah,
goal,
see?
right? I mean, I can see him being very disappointed with the win today.
Yeah.
Having not only not getting that goal, but then being off the pitch
Very
for the
disappointed
penalty.
with the win today.
Hey, he's one of those players,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
He looked pretty happy on
No,
the pitch.
all joking aside, I mean, he was actually pretty good again. Give him credit, right? He's better than I thought he'd be in this World Cup so far. And he's been an impact player in many ways. And they're using him right. They bring him off late in the game, put him more in the midfield. It worked out well. Good to see Leao get on the pitch again today. I think he's going to be... we were talking earlier who's been the young star emerging so far. You mentioned maybe Cody Gakpo. Leao could be that guy. He hasn't done it yet. And he scored a goal in the last game. But it might be him at some point. It's still really, really early. But yeah, they're looking like a good team. And I mean, listen, they should be cruising through the group phase. They're the best team in the group, right? They're man 1 through 11. They're outstanding, right?
Yeah.
We're just always judging them on World Cups past.
Sorry, I just laughed because I was thinking about it. Pepe is playing center back
Yeah.
for this team, right?
And didn't get a card, I don't think.
No, almost. He had a couple of challenges on
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez, but he was in because Danilo.
Well, then doing the lineup at the beginning, and you're seeing Ronaldo there, then you're seeing Pepe. Then what year is this exactly? Where's Nuno gone?
Yeah,
You
they
know, is
seem
he
to have a
in there?
really good mixture of veterans, some really experienced guys, and
Yeah.
some young up and comers with a ton of potential. Let's talk about Uruguay. Disappointing. I mean, in that matchup, I mean, they they made it difficult for Portugal for a long period of time, but going forward, they didn't really offer anything, Mike.
No, and it's funny because you think about the names that are on this Portuguese roster, like a Darwin Nunez, Edison Cavani.
Uruguayan roster.
Sorry, Uruguayan, yeah. Edison Cavani, Luis Suarez. Then you have Valverde, Bentancur in this midfield.
He was excellent today.
He was really good, but you think about that and you're like,
Yeah.
there's no reason why they shouldn't be at least producing quality scoring chances. I think Bentancur made one really magical individual run. They hit the post. They did have chances, but I expect a little bit more from this Uruguayan side. And the fact that they're now one of 3 teams in this tournament who've yet to score a goal, that's surprising to me, especially because they were a lot of teams' dark horses.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned how Portugal have this nice blend of veterans and young. I wonder if there's too much of that in this Uruguayan team. You got Diego Godin, who's been there for about 46 years. You got Luis Suarez, who's starting the bench today, and you got these young players who are already the Darwin Nunez's. But is there friction there? I don't know. It's not as smooth as it is in Portugal for whatever reason, because there were some people's picks to be a potential dark horse to go a long way in the tournament. They're in the danger of not even qualifying for the group phase.
Yeah.
And that's a big disappointment.
Yeah, and if they do get through out of this group going through second, most likely going to play Brazil in the round of 16. So it's a horrible tie for them. Their next matchup, though, is a very, very interesting one against Ghana, who produced one of the performances, I think, of the tournament, beating South Korea 3-2. What a fantastic game this was.
What a crazy match.
Oh, I love this game so much. But back to Ghana. Now they must beat Uruguay. Do they have what it takes to take that South American team down?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think Ghana was, again, a little bit overlooked in this group, but they're on the same page as Uruguay and South Korea, in my opinion, especially based on what we've seen so far at this tournament. I don't see why there's any reason why they can't come out and put in a competitive performance against a team like Uruguay right now who is struggling to score goals. The one thing Uruguay does really well, it wasn't really happening today, but they don't concede a lot of goals. So I'm actually expecting this one to be pretty entertaining and competitive.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Korea are a funny old team, aren't they? I mean, that first half, they were quite poor today. They couldn't get the ball into the box. It was really, and then the second half they just kind of hit a switch. Much better, came back to 2-2. That second goal was amazing. That the diving header, so much aggression. I love a good old-fashioned diving header. You don't see many nowadays for whatever reason. But that was fun to watch them. But you give Ghana. I'd say Africa is quietly having a really good World Cup right now. And we talked before the tournament began about, will this be the year we finally see an African team make a long run in the World Cup? Maybe it is, right? Maybe it's a Cameroon, maybe it's a Ghana. Morocco, again, precisely. We're going to see them pretty soon. And who knows? I mean, listen, let's hope not, because we want to see Canada get a result. But no, it's just, it's been, like I said, a really fascinating World Cup so far. And one of the stories has been the emergence, once again, of African teams.
Absolutely. And listen, the last time Ghana and Uruguay played at the World Cup, 2010 in South Africa, when Suarez stopped the ball with his hand, there was a penalty. Penalty was stopped, and Uruguay knocked them out of the World Cup.
Did Suarez start that game, do you think? He didn't start today.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'd personally rather have Nunez and Cavani
with all the noise around that, 'cause that's going to be a big story building up, isn't it? Right.
Yeah, there was a lot of interviews done with some of the Ghanaian fans, and they haven't forgot it. They definitely have not.
Where's
forgot
Michael
that.
Singh these days?
No, he's been in the crowd. He's been in the stands. Okay, quickly on this group, look at the table. Looks like Portugal is probably going to go through on top. Ghana behind them. South Korea, Uruguay. Their next matches go down December 2nd. Ghana, Uruguay, like I mentioned, and South Korea against Portugal. Portugal probably going to be heavily changed as well. Yellow card accumulation and all that. We have to talk about Canada. It's the day after, James. We've got to digest what happened a little bit. How are you feeling today after that loss against Croatia?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm not sure how they are. It's just, the real reality hits, I think, more and more. You think about the game and you realize the gulf between the Croatias of the world and Canada and where we're at. And I think if we're honest to ourselves, before the World Cup, we didn't expect Canada to beat a Croatia. I know there was a hope, and we saw them against Belgium that looked so good. But I think the reality is that it's a decent team. It's been a great experience. They've made some noise. We can't ask for much more from this team at this World Cup. But there's a lot of work to be done between now and 2026. And John Herdman knows that. And that shouldn't surprise anyone. We've made some nice steps, for sure. But to get to that level of football, and that's the top level, right? Croatia at their best is one of the top teams in world football. So let's not pretend that Canada's close to that just yet, but it's part of the process, baby steps, and what an experience for those players.
Mikey, what do you think went wrong for Canada yesterday?
I don't know if you can pinpoint just one thing that in particular went wrong. And I know this is kind of a cliche term, but I really do think it comes down to inexperience. And I say that in a number of different ways. I know a lot of people are pointing at John Herdman in his comments. Okay, sure, we can talk about that.
That's the low-hanging fruit, though, right?
Exactly. The other thing is Atiba Hutchinson in the midfield. Was he left in there for too long? Did John Herdman set up the way that he should have set up against a team like Croatia? Or did he start the match with a little bit too much of an attacking formation? We can go back and look at that. But the other thing that stands out to me when I say experience is just timing of players coming through the ranks. Like, this is Canada's first World Cup. And you look at where this direction that this national team is going with the players that are still coming through the ranks. Now, 4 years' time, they'll be a little bit more experienced as a country that's a more of a football nation, as a country that's more of a competitive team. And then 4 years after that, think about that. So when I say inexperience, I'm referring to more so the fact that this is a young squad, albeit for a couple of veterans. Also a young squad who has prospects coming through the ranks. So I'm excited to see what this team looks like in 4 or 8 years' time.
Well, can I just take us all back here to that pre-qualifying round against, the Surinams and the Bermudas, that group, right? I remember talking to people in the know who watched this team and know football, and they were concerned about those games, right? Now, Canada breezed through them. We know they scored a hell of a lot of goals. Yeah. But there were people that were like, we've seen them come
80?
up.
I don't know.
Right? Yeah. I remember those conversations, right? That's where the mindset was, right? This is a team that might not beat Haiti in some people's minds. And now here we are playing Croatia in a World Cup and being upset because they lost. It's only 2 years ago this happened. It's been a really fast track for this team who surprises us all. So let's take a breath and realize how far we've come in that time. And you're right, this is the infancy. This is the first step. Give it 4 years, give it 8 years. It's the beginning. So anyone that's upset and angry about this, they shouldn't be. I mean, the whole Atiba thing, listen, when that 11 came out, I didn't see anyone or read anyone complaining about it.
Yeah, no.
Not one person, right? And the whole thing at halftime, okay, I think he may have been taken off if Eustáquio wasn't injured. And you can't take both your midfielders off. Yeah. That would be suicide. I'm sorry. So, and listen, I feel like a John Herdman fanboy here, right? But I'm not pointing the finger at him at all there. He's learned stuff for sure this World Cup.
Yeah.
But let's not. They didn't lose to Croatia because something that he said or his formation choice and changes at halftime. They lost because Croatia's a great club, and Canada isn't great just yet.
Yeah, we talked about that in midfield ad nauseum. It felt like, but for a reason. How good was Modric and Kovacic? I was just telling James, I'm like, for some reason, those are the only two players. Whenever they have the ball in the middle of the park, they have more time and space than anyone else, and that's the experience and that's the level of quality that they have. Now, Canada's got one more game coming up against Morocco, and a very important match for Morocco. How does Canada set up here?
I think you want to go out on a high note as best as you can. But then there's the other side of me that's like, there's a lot of guys here who have yet to touch the pitch at a World Cup. There's some young players who have yet to touch the pitch at a World Cup. Is it in John Herdman's best interest to, give those guys that kind of experience? Maybe rotate his squad a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that.
But there's also the integrity of the tournament too, right? Morocco, this is a huge match for Morocco. Yeah. It's also a huge match for the other group mates, right? Certainly for Belgium, it's a huge match, right?
Should that affect your squad decision?
I think there's an integrity standpoint. It's like rotating players out in Carling Cups, or sorry, not Carling Cups. Whatever they're called these days, Carabao Cups,
Carabao
right?
Cup, yeah.
Or resting players in a busy week against a weaker team. And manage to get hammered for that. You should be able to play who you want, in my opinion, because you bring a squad of 26 players. They're there for a reason. But I'm with you. I think you're going to start out in a high, end in a high. Who knows? Maybe you can pick up a win. In which case, you come out your first World Cup in 36 years with a win and a goal or two. That's brilliant, right? You have to do that. And Atiba is his last game, probably for Canada, I would think, although you never know.
That's true.
I want to hand him that armband one more time, for sure. And I think he deserves it, if he can play. I know 3 games in just over a week's maybe too much for him, but that's what I want to see.
Yeah, play a 45 and have him pulled off,
Yeah,
right?
maybe,
A standing ovation would be a great send-off for him. But that'd be great for Canada to pick up 3 points and end the World Cup on a high note. I think that's exactly what they need. The future is definitely bright for these guys. Quickly, we have some Toronto FC news. Yesterday, Mikey, you chatted with Sebastian Giovinco and you asked him, hey, do you want to come back to Toronto FC? And he said?
Yeah, he said, I don't think this is breaking news right now, but Sebastian Giovinco, once again, reiterated his desire to come back to Toronto FC. Now, I'm just going to clarify. I'm talking from Sebastian Giovinco's perspective, so let's just get that straight. 18 months ago, the issue with Toronto FC and Seba was money, right? Seba wanted too much money. Was it worth it? Was it not? Well, I can confirm now that Sebastian Giovinco was willing to take the exact same offer that Benoit Cheroux got from Toronto FC. And if you look that number up, it's about 150,000. And he agreed to that. Show me proof of that. So it's not money that's the deterring factor. The other question mark could be, it's Sebastian Giovinco. Would he be willing to accept a lesser role to come back to Toronto FC? What I can tell you is, yes, Sebastian Giovinco would be okay coming off the bench for Toronto FC the last 20 to 30 minutes. That's according to him. So now it's like, okay, it's not about his role. It's not about money. What exactly is that deterring factor here? Now, TFC have the number 2 spot in the MLS allocation order, right? It's not the allocation order anymore. That's not the issue. There are some rumors out there that Andrea D'Amico, who represents Lorenzo Insigne, Sebastian Giovinco's former agent, they have some animosity. Maybe TFC's siding with D'Amico. Well, if that was the case, Giovinco would not have been in training camp last January. Mm-hmm. So it's something else. Is it the fact that the team doesn't believe he's a good fit? Is it the fact that maybe they don't want his personality there? Whatever it is, we don't know exactly what that issue is from the team. But from Sebastian Giovinco's case, it looks like he is doing everything right now to make him available to Toronto FC, and the ball's in their court.
Can he play left back? That might be a big factor for him. If he says, hey, listen, Bob, I can play left back.
Hey,
stick me there.
We've seen Bob get creative in the past. You never know.
Hey, listen, a 35-year-old who can still score goals and knows how to do it in a specific league.
If he can still score goals.
Right. How would you think TFC fans would welcome him back?
With open arms, right? With open arms.
Yeah.
And you just think about Victor Vasquez potentially coming off the bench for this team. Seba and Victor Vasquez coming off the bench when you have Insigne and Bernardeschi starting. Come on.
You're getting everyone excited now.
Listen, it's I don't know. It's 2022 now, right? It's not 2017.
You know what? I would have thought the same thing until they went ahead and redrafted Victor Vasquez, right? I would have thought the exact same thing.
I'm not saying he can't do it, right? I mean, he's 35, but he's so tiny and wiry. He's not like a big 35-year-old who's got weight in his knees and his ankles for 20 years, right? So I would love to see it because it'd be a great story. But I just don't know. There's a reason. There's got to be a reason why they haven't done it yet.
Now, I'm sure we'll talk more about this throughout the weeks. Make sure you follow Michael Singh at Michael Singh 94 if you want more information on anything regarding Toronto FC. All right, coming up after the break, Fast Money Football. Welcome back to Room 442. It's time for Fast Money Football presented by Betano, where we share our picks for the next match day. And let's start with James Sharman. Ecuador, Senegal, Group A, massive matchup, James.
Huge match, yeah. I mean, what a story they've both been, right? Ecuador in particular surprised all of us. I think many wouldn't have thought they'd be in this position entering the final match. They've scored goals for fun. Ener Valencia is potentially out for this one. A huge loss. I mean, who's going to score their goals? So I'm going for a low-scoring draw on this one, taking the under. I think it's going to be tight and cagey. So much weighing on it. The draw I'm going for, which for Ecuador will be fine. Yeah,
draw plus the under, plus 270. Mikey Holland against Qatar.
Ooh.
This seems like one-way traffic.
That's what the odds say as well. And you know what? Netherlands, I've questioned as a team overall throughout this whole World Cup. They're technically in jeopardy of potentially not making it out of this group. But it's Qatar. Right? We've seen Qatar in this tournament. While they did improve from their second match, it's still a big gap between them and the rest of the teams. And I'd argue that Netherlands is still the best team in this group. So what I'm liking in this one is Netherlands -2. So Netherlands to win by about 3 goals. And if they win by 2, it's a push. So it's sort of safe for you. I expect Netherlands to come out hungry. They need to make a statement in this game. They need to show that they're the top team in this group and set up a better group or round of 16 match for themselves. It's very important for this team to clinch the number 1 seed. So Netherlands -2 at plus 145, I think is good value.
I like this bet a lot. I think they might put 3 or 4 past Qatar. They have the ability to do so. The next match, Iran, USA. I found it completely difficult to pick a winner between these two sides because Iran showed that they can be good, USA as well. But the thing with the USA is where are the goals going to come from? They seem to be struggling to find the back of the net. So I decided to go Iran double chance, minus 122. What do you think of that, James?
I like that a lot, actually. I mean, you know, we can write off that first match for Iran against England. That wasn't Iran. The next match, they were absolutely brilliant. And the passion and the emotion, which might be their downfall as well. You never know. They've been through so much. But yeah, I like it. You're protecting yourself there as well, which is fair enough. Something about this States team, though, I like them. I like them a lot, but you're right. Where are the goals coming from?
Yes. Next game I want your opinion on. I have England -1 against Wales. My reasoning here is I know Wales love to sit back and counterattack, but they need to win this game. They're going to have to open up, and I think that plays right into England's hands. And if England score early, this can get ugly for Wales.
Yeah, they've got to score a handful of goals to get through Wales, and they've been so disappointing at this World Cup so far. Often you'll see from Wales flashes here and there of what they can do. Haven't seen it yet in this tournament, and even the manager said last match, we let ourselves down at this World Cup so far. Yeah, they want to beat England, but listen, don't overthink it. 1 through 11, there's no comparison. So yeah, England in some ease, I think, will win this one.
When it comes to England's group, I want to know who gets through. England, Iran, USA, Wales.
Gotta stick to my guns. It's gonna be England and the United States. I think when you question where the goals are gonna come from the States, where are the goals gonna come from Wales? That's another big question.
James, it's got to be England top in the group, right?
Yeah.
How can it not be? Yeah.
England are so renowned for playing up to their competition and down to the competition. So the US game, as frustrating as it was, I've seen it 1,000 times. They can respond when they have to, and I think they'll respond.
Okay, quick recap of the bets. James is going with the draw plus the under in the Ecuador-Senegal game. Holland, Qatar, Netherlands -2 for Mikey Singh. Iran, USA, Iran double chance. And I'm going with England -1 against Wales. It's setting up to be a fantastic match day. And we'll be back tomorrow to recap all of the action. Thanks for watching.